Running a travel business can be overwhelming, but imagine if there was a single tool that helped you look professional, stay organized, was easy to use, and affordable. That's just what Travefy does. Travefy gives you the essential tools you need to look like a travel biz pro. Travefy is the most trusted system used by over 30,000 travel brands worldwide. So get started with a system that helps you get back to the joy of planning travel and run your travel business like a pro with Travefy.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Lynn, your systems and delegation coach, and I love getting to help travel advisors go from overwhelmed to being in control CEOs. I have a bunch of free resources for you as you go through Prep for Wave Week. You can scan the QR code or text the number below. I want to send you a couple really awesome things that are going to help you not be overwhelmed when the wave hits.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another. I was almost gonna, I mean, it is the last day of prep for Wave Week, but you never know. Maybe you're rewatching us again. So, welcome if you are new around here. This is the fifth annual prep for Wave Week. It is growth day. So, we're talking about lots of ideas today about expanding your business, like really taking your business to the next level. And I feel this might be a fan favorite episode, or not episode per se, but presentation or conversation, because social media I know is a big sticking point amongst travel advisors. And if you do it really well, it's kind of really easy and seamless for you. If you don't do it really well, these are the types of tactics that you might be want to employing for your travel agency. So take lots of notes, or if you're in the study hall, pass the notes, and all the links for everything is already going to be written out for you. So you don't have to work too hard with us today. And also be on the lookout for the secret word if you want to play with us. Without further ado, welcome to our special guest, Grace Van Holbeck of, did I say that right? Van Holbeck
Good,
or
you killed it.
Hollebeke
Yep, nailed it.
of Turn, formerly of Lucia, kind of still Lucia, because Lucia has been acquired by Turn, so now she is with the family of Turn brands.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Always a blast doing things with you. And yeah, really excited to be a part of the Turn team now. Obviously, still running and growing Lucia, but very much also now focusing on the Turn brand, which is just super exciting.
Yes, and for people who might not know what Lucia or Turn is, can you give a quick little bloop
Totally.
synopsis?
Yeah, so I started a company called Lucia, which is a freelance marketplace for travel advisors to find assistants, marketers, anyone that you would need may be on a freelance basis to help in your business. So for advisors, we help you with administrative, marketing, any types of tasks that you might need. And then for Turn, which is the company that acquired us recently, Turn is an all-in-one CRM that helps travel advisors and agency owners grow their business by providing an all-in-one suite. So we have everything from itineraries and forms to commission tracking, truly every different piece of the advisor tech stack we have in the Turn system. So we replace typically about 6 different platforms for advisors all in one
Mhm.
place.
It is super amazing to see like the growth in the past 2 years. Holy moly.
Yeah,
Like
it's
even thinking
crazy.
about that, because we originally met doing the Travel Tech Audio Summit for its inaugural year, which I think was like 3 years now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, so
everything has kind
crazy.
of exploded. Yeah.
And it's been really exciting to be part of Turn. I mean, they started like 3 years ago, and
Mhm.
they have since grown to a point where they even acquired us as a company and brought us in house. And now Lucia, and the reason they did that was so that Lucia could help advisors move systems over to Turn, help get assistance in Turn.
Mhm.
Whether you need help, getting stood up for the first time and using it, or just having a daily assistant to support your business. So Turn didn't just want to be the best platform in the industry, they also wanted to make sure you had the best suite of services around it too.
Yeah, yeah, it is amazing. So, like, it's not like you just have to go in it on your own, but you do have some help.
Yeah.
But I know we're not really talking about tech or systems today. We're talking about marketing because that is your new role with Turn, or part of the new role that you have over at Turn. And I know we kind of have like three phases almost, talking about like community building and some digital marketing that's not necessarily tuned into social media. We're going to be diving into all sorts of tools to kind of help you with this type of marketing, and then also exploring local marketing. Does that sound on track?
Sounds perfect to me.
Okay, cool. Let's start it off with community because I feel like the essence of building a community has just over the past couple years, I mean, we had that P word a couple years ago and everybody was isolated, so people were craving community back then, and I feel like people are craving community even more now because of friend or foe in whichever circumstance. AI has become a huge thing that we're using both in operations and marketing nowadays. So, from your standpoint, and kind of like looking at what you guys do at Turn, what are some of the best ways to market by building a community, or how does really building a community help you market the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I can give two perfect examples of a company that, did kind of built the business off of community. I would say to start, Lucia obviously was built off of having a network of freelancers.
Yeah.
So we had an entire ecosystem of people that you could, and it still do obviously, go find these freelancers from. So that kind of spread like wildfire, and built based on word of mouth, just
Hmm.
this massive business for us. That being said, a company that did it exponentially better was Turn,
Uh-huh.
and they, from the beginning, had a Facebook group, which, if none
Yeah.
of you are in that Facebook group yet, highly recommend you join. It is the Turn official Facebook group, and it is literally a gold mine. And Turn started this Facebook group in the very early days when they were just trying to get feedback on some of the prototypes they were designing for the platform.
Hmm.
And it quickly snowballed into now you're getting feature asks and recommendations. You're getting people asking for, feedback on things. You have Turn team members. Almost all of the Turn team is in that Facebook group responding
Hmm.
to questions, asking follow-up questions if there's like a product, question or feedback, anything like that. And then even we like announce things. So we do webinars, and we'll drop the announcement for the webinar early in there. We'll give people the opportunity to sign up, for example, our user conference that's going to be happening probably around the time that this airs, in
Hmm.
September. And so we give like special access in there and things like that. And so having that community, it really didn't start as like we had this community just from the beginning from our users. It was when we
Right.
didn't have users yet. And it was how we started creating users from it. So, from an advisor perspective, it doesn't necessarily need to be people that are already customers. It can be people that are just in your orbit. And that is you, and it doesn't need to be Facebook. It can be any platform. It can be, and we'll talk about this more, but like it could be truly any platform. And the
Hmm.
goal is having a medium in which people feel really connected to you. I would say is like the most important part of the community for an advisor. Like, yeah, it's helpful for them to communicate with each other. But ideally you're creating some like brand, like an emotional tie to your brand through that
Hmm.
community. So
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be just your customers. It doesn't need to be people that you know individually necessarily. Your customers can add people in. You should ask your customers to add their friends in, things like that, and provide some level of value. For Turn, it was giving these like early users direct input on the product. Now it's become a way for people to get help on the platform or learn about early things with us, or just engage with our team. And so it expands and changes and evolves as you go, but you can really just start to create an emotional tie. And when you'll see that now when we go to conferences, people feel like they
Hmm.
know us individually. And it's like, we've never actually met, but you feel like you know me. And they'll know team
Right.
members by name, face, everything. And it's because we built a genuine connection in that way. So one of the
Yeah.
first things I did when I came to Turn was just acknowledge that community was probably their strongest asset, and I think that can be built for any advisor that really wants to kind of like build out that community.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that too, because like I recently, probably within the past year, met a travel advisor who's local,
Mhm.
also in Rotary, like in my district. We're not at the
Yeah.
same chapter, but we're close together. And she would start introducing me. She's like, "Oh my gosh, she's such a rock star in the travel industry." And I'm like, "I am not worthy." So it's interesting just like how much you give back to people
Yeah.
and like are able to just identify, relate to them, like how much like the returns come back. Because some of the things that I wrote about this too, that emotional tie is so huge and it goes beyond the Facebook group because I know we said we weren't going to talk about social media, but I feel like a Facebook group is different. It's on social media, but we're not
It's a closed
strategizing
loop.
posts. Right.
Yeah, it's a closed loop. It's not a strategy play. It's nothing like that. It's just like truly authentic communication. And that can be
Right.
done again through a variety of different ways. It could be a Slack message. It could be a WhatsApp group. It could be a text group chat, which might be a bit aggressive, but like, there's ways to do it that are a
Yeah.
bit more nuanced. But you mentioned something there that I think is really important just to like call out is that you mentioned the like giving thing, like the giving aspect of marketing. And I
Hmm.
just want to say that like that is my entire premise as a marketer, regardless of what company I'm with, is that you have to provide a level of value
Hmm.
before you even think about asking for anything. And hopefully you never have to because you're
Right.
providing so much value that people are excited to want to work with you. And so whether it's education or content or support or input on your business, whatever it is, like giving that level of like give
Yeah.
is how you also build that community too.
Yeah, because that makes me think of when I've spoken to David, the first thing that he did to kind of figure out what were the needs of the travel industry were to go to the different conferences.
Yeah.
So, and I love this approach too, because it's like one in person is so important nowadays,
Oh yeah.
but also two, going to specific events, like not going to general events,
Yeah.
but being where your ideal client might be at. So how can we like unravel this from a travel advisor perspective on the
Love
events
that.
and then also giving that value while they're at these events?
Totally. So we can unpack this a couple ways. I would say, and I think the local part of
Yes.
marketing ties into this a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
um, gosh, there's so many different ways that you can reach customers, and we can't use Turn's example like apples to apples for advisors
Right.
because it's just slightly different. But I would say for a travel advisor, like I'll give a simple example, like when you are at a luxury hotel, if you're a luxury travel advisor, when you're at a luxury hotel, that is your clientele, right? Like
Hmm.
when you're at the pool on a fam, well, maybe not on a fam because that's bad practice, but like don't do that. But if you're at a luxury hotel or a bar that's like a bit more upscale, or in one of those environments that maybe your ideal clientele would typically spend time in, you are prospecting. Like maybe
Hmm.
not like in an aggressive way, but in a way that's gonna just keep your eyes open. Like start conversations with people. Just be a friendly
Right.
person. Typically you're an advisor because you're that already. So like how
Yeah.
do you just be someone that genuinely talks to other people in an environment that's probably the right subset of people? Um,
Hmm.
I would also say like it's a similar way a real estate agent approaches getting clients. Like you're always got cards on you and like ready to get your next client when you're at
Yeah.
a family function, when you're at a friend's birthday party, like anyone's always looking for a house, right? Maybe they're not in the market right now, but they might be in 6 months. And so you need to kind of approach it that way too. And so I would say when you're in the right environments, have your card, bring it up, mention it. Like you're not asking for anything, you're offering a service to them.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of like the give in a way.
Yeah.
And then you can add them on social media, your email network, like whatever it is, and keep them in the loop. That's why email marketing is really helpful too, because you just get their email and now they're in your like monthly update email or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so it's like an easy way to build the community aspect too.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the luxury resort or the luxury property because I know a travel advisor who got a client from being in first class on an
Totally.
airplane
Oh, I did that
and
multiple times.
just
Oh yeah,
had a conversation.
totally. And I would say like it doesn't, if you're not a luxury advisor, like then you don't need to use that example. But like when you are in a luxury setting, like are you dressed appropriately? Are you acting appropriately? Like make sure, of course, you carry yourself in a way that like if you introduce yourself to someone that could be a client, you feel that you did a good job representing yourself. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that just carries across like how you run your business as a service provider. Um, so yeah, but you don't need to like if you're going to like if you're at Disney and you do Disney,
Yeah.
perfect. The next time all of
Yeah.
these thousands of people come to Disney, you could be their advisor. And so like it just matters like going to the places. This is an in-person example. It's not the only way that you can find these people and bring in
Right.
clients in like an in-person way.
Yeah, because I think of also like support groups because I know there's lots of travel advisors who specialize like in either in mobility needs, special
Yeah.
dietary needs, autistic families, and like what are their support groups? What are the conferences that are within those that help those types of travelers?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be travel related. There's so many like family type conferences or just I'm thinking when I was doing a lot on the business retreat side HR conferences were something that I was like, I need to be at these places
Yeah,
because this is where my
totally.
client's going to be at.
Totally. And I would say like it works for some, not for others. Like if your ideal clientele is like smaller families and you're working with typically a mom or a dad on booking their, them and their few kids, like they may not be the ones showing up at like some of these conferences, whereas you can totally meet them and there'll be a few ways that we share across this that I know we've planned to talk about, but like
Mhm.
you can do it locally, you can do it online, you can do it through groups. The groups could be digital, they don't need to be in person. I personally love the in-person approach. Immediately forms an emotional connection.
Mhm.
But if it can't be, when you're in these other cities and you have potential people in your network that you might know, reach out to them, get a
Mhm.
coffee, like build, you need that in-person emotional connection at some point, even if it can't be the first touch point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you had mentioned that being based out of Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
that they just do things really well when it comes to
Yeah,
local marketing. Because I feel like this is like the untapped when we come
totally.
to when we talk about travel advisor marketing. And I had mentioned to you too, like I had seen somebody online who said that they were gonna start testing out like how do those street signs do.
Yeah.
Had mentioned to another travel advisor, why don't you try like billboards or things like that?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you see are working for businesses in Salt Lake?
Yeah, so Salt Lake City, for example, has a huge billboard culture. It's really random.
Okay.
There's like one road that drives north to south from like the top of Salt Lake to all the way down to Provo,
Okay.
which is another town nearby, about an hour away. And there's one road that takes you the whole way, and there are billboards all up and down it. And I can tell you right now, probably 20 companies that I consistently see on a daily basis that are on those billboards, and it's like
Mhm.
very common practice. And like there's like a whole social media culture around these billboards, like it's a whole thing. So that's a really niche example. So like
Yeah.
yes, billboards could be one way, but if you live in a rural area, that may not be relevant, right? So
Yeah.
like you need to find different ways. Um, Billboards happen to make sense in Salt Lake, but also like social media, and we're not talking about social media marketing, but like social media can be some level of that if you're
Mhm.
like doing paid ads and things like that, specifically paid. If you're doing like organic social, that's kind of the part of the marketing that I don't think we plan to talk about because it's really like hope and pray it's going to work. Whereas like paid
Right.
media, you can do paid social media ads to specific people in a specific region that have a specific demographic. That is a little bit different. And you can actually target like certain demographics of people and know it's going to reach them, right? So it's actually
Yeah.
different. But also like mailers. We're going to talk a little bit about, I think, Apollo
Ah,
and those kind of
yeah.
things. Like there's ways to get these people's mailing addresses
Uh-huh.
and legally, like you can get all this information, pay to get certain people based on their demographics or where they live or how they work. And then you can work with a mailing company or you could do it yourself and like
Mhm.
create a little postcard that you mail to them or some sort of thing with your business card in it. But don't just do it once and say, oh, shucks, it didn't work. Like you need to do this stuff consistently. You need to do it monthly
Exactly.
or quarterly. You need to be talking to people at least once a month, I would say. So for
Oh yeah.
advisors that are doing marketing and typically say that things don't work, typically it's because they're doing a variety of random things and there's no like strategic plan. And so my
Right.
ask to you would be like, let's focus on your local market, maybe let's say.
Hmm.
Come up with a list of names. You can use Apollo. It's a tool that lets you search for people's names based on their job titles, their location, a bunch of different factors. Like you could look up CEOs that live in your area. I could look up CEOs that live in Salt Lake City because they're probably going to be a good luxury client, right? For me,
Right.
at least if I'm doing luxury travel, which is where my experience in the industry came from, and I was an advisor on the luxury side. So
Hmm.
I could look up CEOs in the area that are, based in Salt Lake. And, I don't know if you could search by income or anything like that. I doubt that you could search by that, but like you could create some sort of list. You can also create lookalike lists. So give an example of like 30
Ooh.
people that are like your current clients in social
Yes.
media paid ads. You could do this too, and have it search people based on a lookalike list.
Hmm.
Now you can get their addresses and send out mailers to these people.
Yeah.
Do now you have your list of like 500 or 1,000 people you want to reach out to.
Yeah.
Target that list consistently for 6 months, consistently, like at least monthly, and then let me know that it didn't work.
Yeah.
Because if you're sending mailers once a month to these same 1,000 people, you're then also maybe targeting social ads to them, that specific set of people. Maybe you also leave little door hanger things on their front doors.
Yeah.
Like there's so many varieties of ways that you could do these things locally that don't require you to have a massive marketing budget or just like posting randomly in social and hope it works.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I'm so bullish for advisors on local marketing. Like I think there's so many avenues and like no one takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Apollo as one of the tools. I know
Yeah.
another advisor had told me about Melissa, which is another tool that you can use to find like those direct addresses and
Yeah.
target points. Um, I was like, what was the another idea? And I've seen this. So I get a lot of compounded medicines from a
Mhm.
compounding pharmacy, and they've recently started like having advertisements on the medicine bags. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what an ingenious way to kind of like partner
Right.
up with a pharmacy or
Right.
and that's just another like just local marketing tactic.
Like, okay, another good example, like think of a business that has probably someone that comes to them with disposable income because
Mhm.
maybe you want to make sure that they're doing some level of travel, right?
Right.
Maybe you're working with a luxury car dealer, or maybe you're working with Salt Lake is known for their cosmetics here.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of people do like Botox and things like that, like facials and eyebrow waxing, right? Like they do all that sort of stuff. It's very big here in Salt Lake. Lots of moms do it, lots of families, like adults, I mean.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you partner with a cosmetologist or whatever, and pay for
Oh,
the goodie bags and your brand is in it. Now you have a clientele that shows that they have disposable income that they're willing to spend on something other than like food, gas, groceries, etc. This
yeah.
is something that's a want, not a need, and they're willing to spend money on it. So we're kind of weeding out maybe someone who maybe wouldn't be an ideal fit that's like planning on traveling anytime soon. Um,
Right.
and now you're paying for this like giveaway. So the brand is going to be like, of course, I'll like let you pay for my giveaway items or the bags or something. It's additional income for them if you just like sponsor it too, or say, like, I'll give you X amount a month to sponsor this. And
Yeah.
now you're getting in front of potentially hundreds of people a month that you otherwise wouldn't have known. So like think about like what businesses in your area could you go in and say, like, I know you probably have disposable income, like let me advertise to your customers, or let's do some sort of like goodie bag. So again, value adding, like you can't just
Yes.
advertise to their customers. So how can I be a value add?
Yeah, I love that kind of like almost like a joint venture partnership, but not
Yeah.
like there's not necessarily too much invested on either side because I
No, and
think of
take
it
the
as
work out
like,
of it for the partner too. Like,
yeah.
don't come in with this like guns a blazing, like I want to
Oh,
advertise to your customers, and it's like good for you.
yeah,
Like, so do I. Like, how is this relevant to me? So like figure out ways that are actually
exactly.
useful for them. And then you'll kick down the door a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm thinking like if you're going that route, like freshen your face for your next vacation. And then in the opposite, like
Right.
you could both of the
Like
companies
maybe
can
you're paying for
position it that way.
sunscreen, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a cosmetics company. Maybe you're including a little sunscreen bottle that has your or their brand on the sunscreen and then your brand like card in there, like your business card. And
Yes.
like it's a little postcard of like you need sunscreen every day, but you definitely need it on vacation. Like come up
Exactly.
with some better line than that, but like,
Yeah.
then use that to talk about, your brand in a way that makes sense and the brands go together,
Right.
you know?
Right. I definitely want to talk on some of those tools because I know we talked about direct mail,
Yeah.
and I know one of the ones where you can get printed things, but you can also automate the process. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of like doing birthday cards, and there's a company
Yeah.
called Cardly where
Yeah.
you can like automate things so that it auto sends things out. And I think like you can even upload like your handwriting or your
Yeah.
signature so that it goes out so it feels like a little bit more personal if you don't have the time to always be
Totally.
top of mind. But what are some of these other tech tools? Because I know we had a list of things that can help
Yeah,
make
I've got a
marketing a bit
list.
easier.
For one, Turn.
Yeah.
Like Turn's platform does all of the outbound like birthday emails, like you could send out a very customized, branded, etc. type email that Turn will automatically send based on your client's birth date because it's in your CRM that's within Turn.
Mhm.
You can then, or instead, like, do other types of reminded emails or notes or things like that. But if you're looking for something physical, you kind of mentioned the note writing one as well. I would say there's a couple different tools that I love using. They're not all like paper based, so I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily gonna be helpful there. But some of the tools that we're using right now that I absolutely love is I mentioned Apollo. That's to like
Yes.
get people's information. There's a
Yeah.
really inexpensive version that you can use super seamlessly and easily. And then you can even like use their like email sequences in their tool if you want to like make it easy for yourself. But we mostly use it just to like get client information that of like someone we're trying to reach out to. Or
Okay.
maybe they like gave us their email address and we need to figure out what their first name is. So like
Oh,
you can give them like their name and they'll get you everything else, or you can give the email and it can get you everything else from there. Like it's very easy. I would also
okay.
say we use Zapier all day long. And I
Yes.
promise you, even if you're using Zapier, you're not using it enough. I promise you, because I use it all the time at Lucia and I have been humbled by Turn's use of Zapier. And they're using a lot of like AI and automations in Turn, and they're building a lot of this stuff now too internally. But for
Uh-huh.
stuff that we don't have time to like build on our own and like integrations that we are not necessarily trying to build natively in the platform, um, and the Zapier stuff is for like our marketing and internal admin. We don't use it within the platform at all or anything to do with the platform. So like for marketing for Zapier, for example, we are doing this big boot camp currently at the time that we're recording this to like train
Mhm.
people on Turn. So by
Uh-huh.
the time this is airing, it'll already have happened. You can go watch the recording on YouTube. But the videos themselves, like we have the registration for the event,
Uh-huh.
and we're like, okay, shoot, how do we like know when to send like certain people like discount codes to Turn? Who should we send these discount codes to? Who should we be sending emails and saying like, thank you for joining because they're already a customer? Or people that are like advisors, but maybe their agency owner wants to know about Turn too.
Mhm.
So we're like, all right, how do we do that? Well, we can pull in Zapier, can take the registration from the Zoom event. It can check our HubSpot CRM, or for in your case, it could be any other tool that you're using. Um, it then adds like, it checks in our HubSpot, like what type of customer are they for us. And then it'll add it to a Google Sheet. And we've set these all up in steps. It'll then add it to a Google Sheet if they're not currently a customer. And then we'll have another Zap, like continuing down that same Zap. The next step will be if they're on that list, it'll trigger an email to them, emailing them, letting them know that we'd love to invite them to try Turn. And here's a promo
Yeah.
code for them to use while they're doing this training. And then it'll be funneled into our sales funnel from there. So that is like takes 2 seconds to set up. And
Yeah.
we ended up having like almost I think we're at 2,200 people that are registered for this like Zoom training, which is crazy.
Nice.
And we didn't expect it. So we're like, how would we email all these people automatically or like
Right.
after the fact? And it's like, no, it's doing it automatically for us.
Yeah.
Um, so Zapier can kind of do stuff like that. Or like if someone is currently a customer of ours, and we maybe had a sales demo call with them, like we can check off in our CRM or Google Sheet or whatever tool we want to use, and it'll automatically trigger a sequence of emails. So some things can be done in your CRM, some things can be done through Zap, like, but for
Right.
marketing, we use Zap for a lot of the functionality that isn't available in A, Turn, or B, like HubSpot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like I'm definitely underutilizing Zapier, so
Yeah,
I need to like start experimenting. But even for like some of the simple things, like if somebody signs up on your email list,
yeah,
putting them, adding them to your CRM,
right,
or even if you're going to use like a technology like Cardly, having their mailing address go into your Cardly account automatically so that you
right.
don't also have to do that step as well.
Yeah, and if you're an advisor, the reason I mentioned HubSpot too is because like we can't use Turn as a technology business necessarily. Like we do in a lot of ways, but it's built for advisors. So it's actually not built for us as a company, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And so we have to use a different CRM. So, but if you're an advisor, like a lot of these automations and things are actually built into Turn already. So you actually don't need like Zapier for like some of the customer stuff or like automations in that way. But if it's like stuff related to systems that are completely different,
Mhm.
um, then it's such a bonus. Like it's such a value add to like try to use it for a bunch of different things. Um,
Yeah.
so just like a fun tip.
Yeah, what about the Claude integrations? Because
Yeah.
I know ChatGPT is kind of like the fan favorite right now. I love Claude for writing, but how are you using it to kind of like integrate different tools?
Yeah, so you can use Claude integrations to attach to your CRM, like Google Sheets and Docs. You can attach it to your Slack channel. You can integrate it with so many different tools. And I don't know all of them at the top of my head. We
Uh-huh.
actually have Turn connected to ours as well, like the actual system itself. So that like, not like client data or anything like that, but like our internal, like, you know, if we're referencing like customer,
Uh-huh.
not a specific person, but like the idea of a customer, it would know what that means. So if you're not like, if you're from an advisor perspective, you're going to want to connect it to your CRM, your like email tools, your, if you use like any SMS marketing tools, things like that, you could use that in ChatGPT too. Or even just your Slack channel too. So you can
Mhm.
reference conversations or your Google Drive. You can attach it to so many different things. So
Okay.
whenever you're talking to Claude, it can have a ton of context already.
Love that. I know I'm starting to dabble in some of like the projects to
Yeah,
keep like the really targeted information in folders instead of having like 50 million
right.
individual chats, and also
Yeah,
like just to clean up the AIs too.
totally. And we use like the folders in Claude especially, like, or the different like chats, if you will.
Mhm.
We like, at least for all the marketing related stuff that I use, I work in the same chat. If I'm doing like a PR push for something, like I'm writing a
Yeah.
PR press release. If I'm doing, I don't actually do our social personally. We have a social media manager that does it, but like, if we were to create social content or copy or ideas, I would have that all in one as well. If we're doing it for email marketing, I have all of our email marketing copy in one.
Mhm.
So really like you can make it specific to like the channel. It could be specific to a specific like content asset, if you will. We do like guidebooks and case studies. So I've won 4 case studies. We have an email that goes out on Fridays called Flight Log that updates all of our
Mm,
current users and trialing users with all of the updates and the improvements we've made to turn that specific week, because we do weekly product updates, and like new features, net new
yeah.
things every single week. And so we want to let everyone know what those are. So yeah, just some of those ways like you can make it super um, specific in the way that you're asking Claude or ChatGPT to give you content.
Yeah, and I know the last one that I had written down was a tech called granola, which I'll
Yeah.
actually make granola the secret word for this
Yeah.
presentation. But what does granola do?
Yeah, and we actually have a referral code, so I should give you one
Nice.
to get users some discount or something if they sign up to use
Yeah.
it, because it is hands down best thing we've ever implemented at Turn. They had it before I showed up. I now use it every single phone call, or I'm sorry, meeting with an advisor, internal team, a webinar I'm doing, doesn't matter. It does not formally like record your meetings, because I really
Okay.
hated that about like some of the Otter AI stuff and like other tools
Yeah.
that, like record your meetings. I hated that. I didn't like people feeling like they were being recorded. This
Yeah.
is something that lives in the background, does not enter a meeting. No one on the other side of the conversation even knows it's going on.
Ooh.
And it is not recording. It is purely audio listening to the audio output on your computer. And it is transcribing, and that is it. It doesn't store any of the audio or anything
Okay.
like that. Or like anything beyond that. And then it's private notes. The best part of it, though, is not just the fact that you now have a transcript of your meeting, it's that it's now a custom GPT, if you will, for that meeting. So you can ask the meeting notes, what is the takeaway
Oh,
points? Now you can also set up a Zapier to take whatever it'll automatically create like the action items. So you can automatically have a Zapier set up. So anytime you have a granola recording, it takes the action item setting or even just all of the notes and inputs it into whatever you need it to do. Or you can ask it to give you the action items, and then you can send it to, your task management tool. Um, so there's a lot of like unique ways to do that, but like granola basically becomes a GPT. So if I'm having a customer client meeting,
that's
you
cool.
have a meeting with a potential customer and you're like, where do you want to go? Italy, great. And now you end up on this like 45-minute conversation.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to be recorded, you don't want to be recording them, but now you have a full transcript of everything that happened. So you can
Mhm.
ask it like, where do they want to go? What's the most important things they see? What's the timeline? But also you can ask like more subjective things too, like what would be the ideal turnaround time that they probably want based on our
Mhm.
conversation, even if they didn't say one out loud. um, and so
Um,
like it's just such a superpower, like it's unbelievable. I'm not even getting to like the meat of so many of the things it can do, but that's like just bare bones starting point. Like you can just ask things about the meeting.
That's amazing because I just had somebody message me earlier today about like how do I get all these recorders or
Yeah,
the note takers out of my recordings and everything. And
right?
I'm like, ooh,
This
I'm
never
gonna
enters it.
slip them a
Oh, even
message.
better. Okay, I'm gonna do an even better example. I have I did a series of customer interviews for Turn to do like
Mhm.
case studies. And you, for example, as an advisor, can use it as like, let's say I am working with a customer on like an Italy itinerary, and we have like several meetings. So let's say you have multiple meetings with this client, and let's say they're the McBrides and they're doing, this trip. You can put those granola meetings into the folder, let's say McBride trip, McBride Italy trip, whatever it is. You can now ask the folder GPT questions. So now you could take notes from 30 different meetings and
Mhm.
give you like the takeaways or action items or things to know or how the conversations evolved. So for me doing like case studies with my clients or Turns clients, I'll do like, 10 different customer interviews, and then I'll ask the folder of the case study interviews and I'll say, what are the 10 biggest pain points that advisors are having with Turn? What
Ooh,
are the 5 things that they loved about Turn the most?
love that.
And this is why community is helpful too, because in our Facebook group, we even use tools, not granola, different use case, but we use AI in our Facebook group to identify what are the like most important things right now that advisors are saying about Turn. What are the biggest pain points that people are having right now, based on level of urgency? Like what is
Yeah.
the features that we need to fix or do or add or whatever. So it's all based on using AI tools in the business. And those are
Yeah.
all things that you can be doing as an advisor, not just because we're a tech company.
Yeah, because granola is reminding me a little bit of a tool that I use, Cast Magic, that
Mhm.
I put in transcripts, or so it's either audio, not transcripts. I put the audio recording or the video recording, it spits out a transcript, and then
Yeah,
you can also use AI. So if like you're recording a
right.
consult with a client, you can do similarly. Or, I mean, I feel like granola makes it a little bit easier, but
Yeah,
if
and
you're
way
not
less
having it
invasive.
recording.
Yeah, just way less invasive. And I
Yeah.
don't want recordings. It also takes up a ton of space on
Yes.
the computer.
Oh
Like I
my
don't need all these
gosh. Yeah.
recordings. It takes up I now have notes from every meeting I'm ever in. So I don't need thousands of hours of recordings. I just need to know what I need to know. And
Right.
Granola does that in a really like low impact way, but high
Love, love.
impact, low touch.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, this episode, this presentation has been like super chock full packed. I can't thank you enough. I'm so glad like we were able to talk different tools that are kind of new to me, but then
Yeah.
also we talked on the community aspect and leveraging local marketing. So hopefully,
Yep.
travel advisors, you have a lot of brand new ideas in your head for marketing in a different way when we think about wave season in 2026. What should we know about Turn? If anybody's interested in testing it out, where's the next best way to go ahead and do that?
Totally. You can go straight to our website, turn.travel, and you'll be able to see a variety of resources if you want to get started. There's a free demo, obviously, that you can try. Am I allowed to share a discount code? Is that
Ooh,
okay?
yeah,
Is that
yeah, let's
welcome?
do it.
All right, I'll create the discount code Wave Week, and
Okay.
that'll be the discount code in all caps. If you want to get a discount off of trialing Turn, and so you can feel free to use that code. Hopefully, we include it in some sort of notes or show notes or
Yeah,
something. And yeah, we're doing demos all the time, explaining the platform. We did this boot camp, obviously, that's going to be live on YouTube if you need like really in-depth training. But we have a lot of fun things coming out soon. Just visit the website and you'll find them all.
perfect. Yeah, I'll go ahead. We'll have that discount code in the swag bag. So, reminder if you haven't already checked out the swag bag, there's lots of really great goodies in there for you, including this turn offer. And then, if you haven't checked out the virtual trade show, go ahead and do that now. It's not like a trade show that you've ever been to before. You go on it on your own time, listen on a quick snippet, get a couple downloads, and hopefully get a couple new ideas for your business as well. But Grace, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here and sharing all the things. This was a really great one.
No, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about Turn and Lucia and also marketing, obviously. So hopefully this resonated with you guys. And if you have any feedback or thoughts on marketing or anything you want to, riff on, feel free to always reach out to me too. My email is grace@turn.travel. You're more than welcome to always reach out, share ideas that you have. If you ever want to talk about stuff, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. See you on the
Thank
next
you.
one.